Successful organizations bring people and data together, leveraging data intelligence to empower data consumers with contextual understanding and trust in their data. But far too many organizations still struggle with putting this into practice. Unlocking immediate value from data requires automation and predictive recommendations on next best actions for faster time to value. And data intelligence needs to be linked to data delivery so that technical and business users can find, understand, trust, and access relevant data when and where it's needed. Introducing Informatica's cloud-native, AI-augmented, predictive data intelligence solution that integrates data governance, catalog, quality, and marketplace capabilities for a data foundation that modern organizations need to accelerate and automate data governance to deliver trusted data, enable data sharing that empowers data consumers to engage with data, and drive analytics, AI, and business outcomes with trusted data. With predictive recommendations and automation powering data intelligence that is linked to data delivery, you no longer have to wait months and years to realize business value from trusted data. And over time, it will be even more accurate and efficient because Informatica's CLAIRE AI engine continually learns from your metadata. Achieve greater value from your data intelligence investment by empowering your data consumers and driving business outcomes with trusted data. Informatica. Cloud first, data always.
Welcome, everyone, to Modern Data Governance for Chief Data Officers. I'm your host, Nathan Chirasky, and today I'll be joined by industry experts, including from Informatica, and guests from Microsoft and our data governance customers, who are all on a mission to unleash the power of data and deliver outsized value by managing risks and improving data insights in order to get more data into the hands of data consumers across today's modern digital businesses. So first up is Brett Roscoe, Senior Vice President and General Manager for Cloud Data Governance and Cloud Ops at Informatica, who will take you through what's needed to modernize data governance. Next, Anthony Pereira, Chief Data Officer at La Trobe University, will share their transformation into a data-driven organization and how they've achieved success with improved data insights and accelerating analytics. After, I'll be joined by Jay Hawkinson, Director of Data Analytics and Insights at Valmont Industries, who will share how he's been able to empower his organization by improving data literacy, making data a trusted resource that drives new value and better business outcomes. Then we'll be joined by Nate Harris, General Manager and Global Leader for Data and AI at Microsoft, who will discuss our successful partnership bringing data governance to Microsoft Azure, along with an introduction to Microsoft Fabric. And we'll conclude with Ian Stahl, Senior Director of Product Management here at Informatica, who will give us a hands-on demo of modern data governance in action that you're not going to want to miss. And also keep your eye out along the way for other special guests sharing their perspective on what it takes to build a modern data governance program. So let's get started with Brett Roscoe introducing modern data governance. Over to you, Brett.
Great to be with you. My name's Brett Roscoe. I am the General Manager of our data governance business here at Informatica. And so I'm going to walk through the data governance kind of market. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of this evolution from what started really as a governance and compliance or compliance and regulatory kind of problem. And then it moved to kind of this democratization of data, moving data to the, to the users across the organization, to the businesses. And lastly, what I feel like is happening now is a modern data governance need, really driving optimization, visibility, and control across the organization. So we'll walk through that. I'm going to walk through how the implications of that impact the market. I'm going to talk about how that might impact you as well. A couple quick notes. Hey, look, most of what I'm going to be talking about today is really a kind of a market view, maybe some of the things that Informatica can do today. I may make a couple statements around things we're doing in the future. Those are always subject to change, so that's kind of the state of that. But if you have any questions on this, please feel free to ask myself or ask any of our product teams, and we can address that. So for years, we've talked about digital transformation. Digital transformation was always the conversation. Like if you've been in a high-tech conversation, we've been in conversation with customers for years, and digital transformation is the vernacular. But now we're starting to see the results of that. We're starting to see the return on investment. We're starting to see businesses that are investing in having a digital business and having a digital and a data-driven capability. How it's no longer about getting through the digital transformation, but about scaling a digital business. Now, in my opinion, scaling a digital business requires, right? It requires accurate, trusted, and secure data. because accurate data leads to accurate business outcomes or accurate decisions. And accurate data will lead to better outcomes, right? And see, nobody's immune from this. I'm always surprised. I love stories of companies that have gone into a digital transformation that you just wouldn't think would go through digital transformation. I mean, like companies, even here, like we've got 3 great examples, but Valmont is in the agriculture and infrastructure. This is not the first company that you go, oh, they're so digital. But they've invested, right? They've invested in making themselves a data-driven company, into improving their supply chain, into targeting new services for their customers, right? And then Progress Residential, like one of the leading home single-family residence rental companies in the United States. And they're investing big time in analytics. They're doing billions of transactions, and they are looking to increase and accelerate their data pipelines. And lastly, Hershey. We all love Hershey. My kids may love Hershey a lot more than I do, but everybody's got a fondness for Hershey, right? Hershey's not the first thing that comes to mind when you think digital, but they have invested a lot in their analytics capability. They've invested a lot in putting data in the hands of their account owners so they can understand inventory levels at their retailers. They put data in the hands of their supply chain so they can understand their supply chain all the way down to the raw materials. So let's talk about the journey. Years ago, governance was focused on this regulatory and compliance. We had electronic records, electronic communications coming online, and the industry was struggling to keep up with that rapid change. And you had regulations like Sarbanes-Oxley and GDPR and HIPAA all coming. I remember at one of my previous employees sitting with a customer in EMEA that was a big retailer, and GDPR had just come online, and they were kind of grappling like how they're going to solve it. And we asked them, what are you doing? And they said, well, we're doing nothing. I said, what do you mean you're doing nothing? They said, well, we're going to kind of wait and see who gets in trouble first and then kind of see what we have to do. And I said, what if you get in trouble first? And they said, well, we're really hoping that doesn't happen, right? So it just shows that getting your arms around all these interesting policies and rules is difficult, right? And so governance software was really designed to kind of help get your arms around that. And that was fine because we were all just trying to keep up with kind of this new digital world, right? And so risk and compliance became the focus of governance software. How to keep you safe, how to keep you secure, how to keep, it was really about kind of guarding your data and making sure nobody had access to it. Any communications with clients and things like that were protected. But the amount of data that started coming as a result of all that, or a result of really the digital revolution, was the fact that we were getting tons of data, new data, diverse data. There were microservices, cloud came around, new applications, IoT, all this stuff was coming at the industry, the business, and then all of a sudden analytics tools came around and processing power got cheaper. And so everybody all of a sudden was interested in doing analytics, right? Not just the analytics team, but even different departments across the business. So there was a big appetite to make that a bigger part of the business. And you had titles come around like CDO and data engineer and data analyst. All those new titles came around as a result of trying to drive more with data. And the industry started trying to get the right data in the right hands of the right people. And that was something Informatica, there's a lot of, the industry as a whole was doing that. And the CDO to me had this really interesting problem. And I kind of described the problem as being, twofold. Had a kind of supply side problem, which means that the data that I talked about, getting, the data would just continue to grow. The diversity of the data continued to grow. How do you figure out what the right data, what should you be keeping? What should you be getting rid of? What should be used for decision making? That's a tough problem. Only that, the demand side, right? So the CDO is going, every business is coming at him going, I want the data. I don't want just the data from my group. I want the whole company data because I want to make it, I got some research I want to do, have some analytics to do to make some decisions. So the CDO is kind of stuck in the middle, right? Really hard problem to solve. So as a result, we kind of got a second pillar of this data governance solution, right? We got the regulatory compliance, which is always in contrast to the fact that we're getting this demand from the business to go distribute data across the organization, right? And so this continues today, right? We are continuing, even at Informatica, to drive more automation, more capabilities to get hands in the right people, to the right people at the right time, right, with the right information. But the world continues to evolve. And now, organizations are needing to deal with data analytics and data management at scale, right? So with more of the organization getting involved in data, you've got multiple personas. You've got technical people, you've got business people, you've got finance people, you've got every kind of persona you can imagine trying to get their hands on the data. So how do you help get all the data into those people's hands but still have control and visibility to what's going on, right? And so that's where, to me, a modern data governance solution where observability becomes part of that equation. It becomes an important part to have an understanding and visibility and transparency as to what's happening across the organization, not just visibility, but control. All right, so providing the technical user, the business user, and the governance teams the ability to look at everything, albeit through different lenses. Now, observability becomes a key component of a modern data solution. But how can observability help you optimize? How can it help you run faster? Well, because automation becomes a bigger and bigger part of data management, right? Automation to drive things like quality, to allow you to have to set quality targets and quality goals and set quality rules. The ability to implement rules and take your data and cleanse it and parse it and verify it. The ability to measure compliance, be able to see compliance, be able to have things like scorecards and dashboards and thresholds and alerts and proactive monitoring. All that stuff needs to work together, and observability becomes a key component, not to necessarily find a specific piece of information. You can always find the information if you're willing to throw enough warm bodies at it. It's the ability to quickly find information, to make decisions, to act, and do something fast. That's what's going to set you apart. And so our point of view is that you need a modern data governance solution, one that can cover all three of these areas that we discussed. Even the regulatory compliance continues to change, right? It's not like it stays still. Now, it doesn't necessarily move as fast as it used to because some of these regulations are getting mature, but then you have geopolitical strange things that happen like Brexit, which throws a whole new set of rules and a whole new set of sovereignty issues in there, right? And then in terms of the democratization, it's not like, oh, today I've got 100 people asking for data and tomorrow I'll only have 101. No, tomorrow you're going to have 1,000 people asking for data. That continues to evolve. So we've got to continue to automate, right, to make that actually work. Right? Doing manual processes won't work for the scale that you need to get information out. And then observability must be the DNA by which you can act quickly, by the way that you have control and visibility into your environment, right? So you can meet risk and compliance, so that you can distribute data through your organization, but you can do it in a secure and trusted way and know that you're doing it in a secure and trusted way. And we believe in a very AI-driven approach. It is where we invest. We believe AI helps drive automation and simplicity. We are the only multi-tenant cloud-native platform built on 23 petabytes of active metadata. That active metadata is used to train our CLAIRE engine, right? It understands what the data is, where it's been, the lineage, right? The classification. The other thing is we're doing 53 trillion transactions a month. CLAIRE uses that to understand data management patterns. What's the next thing you want to do in the process? How do you want to get this data in the hands, and we can help you in those steps, right? So CLAIRE steps in and does a lot of things for us. Just a few things are, we do auto classification. We can look at the metadata of a customer's data and auto classify it. Just to give you an example of that, we have a very large customer. They've been working for 2 years on manual efforts to create 200 classifications for their data. We ran our CLAIRE engine against that same data in a lab. We came up with 400 classifications in 2 hours. The original 200 classifications being in those 400. We also can do things like automated lineage creation, right? We can look at the metadata, understand lineage. Lineage today is so often done in a manual way, right? Spreadsheets and Visio and all those kinds of things to create lineage, and we can do that with CLAIRE, can find lineage, discover lineage, and automatically put lineage in place for you. And we can do automatic rule creation, right? So in our data quality tools, we can do data quality insights, and we can look through metadata and recommend quality rules. And by clicking those, you can put those in place and continue to augment your data quality environment. We even have NLP capabilities where you can take clear English text and convert it into data quality rules for you. These are just a few of the things. We have auto mapping. We have next best transformations to talk about. We have lots and lots of CLAIRE capabilities to simplify and scale your data management environment, and governance being a key part of that. So now, an AI-powered modern data governance solution, we believe, is what we call kind of a predictive data intelligence engine. See, by understanding consumption pattern, by understanding where data is used the most, by whom and where, by learning the consumption patterns, by learning the patterns by which the teams are using the data, distributing the data, securing the data, we continue to feed our engine with the ability to continue to get better at automating, better at making recommendations. In Informatica, the other thing that we focus on, you'll notice we have this on the very left because this is where we start. We built the predictive data intelligence engine with the consumer in mind. And what that looks like is a cloud data marketplace that's designed for the business user. Think of it like a Google or a shopping cart-like experience. It's not a difficult interface. You can search and discover, find, curate data assets that you need for your business in a simplified way. But by the way, it's all governed. It's all at a quality standard because the engine behind it is providing that predictive data intelligence to that modern data marketplace. And not only that, but we have collaboration. So you can collaborate between producers and consumers. So there's a good dialogue. So the consumers give feedback to the producers of that data and say, here's the data I need. By the way, the data you sent me yesterday was nothing relevant. I need something better, right? So in our solution, we have three kind of key interfaces or user experiences, if you will, all integrated together, but very focused, right? Our data governance and catalog provides you with a simplified and consolidated view of our catalog, data profiling for both technical and business users. It can provide proactive alerts, and it has integrated data quality. Our data marketplace is, I just talked about, it's kind of our front end. It's where our business users go to discover, procure, and check out data assets. And I talked about that collaboration capabilities. We even have the ability for users to put ratings on the data, or ratings on the, consumers to put ratings on the producers, right? To incent the producers to provide better data, maybe faster data, more real-time data. And the last one is our quality interface, right? And again, quality is really integrated across almost all of our services at IDMC. You can get quality scores within the catalog. You can get quality scores in the marketplace. Here, though, you can take more proactive work, right? You can, when you identify anomalies, you can go remediate them. You can deduplication. You can do consolidation. So all of that integrates into scorecards, into capabilities that are used across all of the different services, right? So again, three different kind of ways to interface with our governance capabilities, but all integrated and all working together. All right, so of course, all of this is available in our Intelligent Data Management Cloud offering. So all the services I talked about, our governance capabilities, are all available in a broader platform that shares metadata, that works together, that's integrated with things like data integration, app integration, MDM, all working together to create a solution, an end-to-end solution that can solve many, many use cases. And if you're a customer that's subscribing to IDMC today, well, if you know that you have flexible licensing where you have access to all of these services right now. You can use all of these solutions if you're currently subscribed to IDMC. Our IPU can be used for anything. If you're not a subscriber to IDMC, then man, I invite you this week to just really look hard at it. This is our investment area. This is the area that we are innovating because we believe a cloud-native solution addresses a new cloud-native world, whether your data is on-prem, whether your data is in the cloud, or both, which is more typical. Okay, so hopefully you've seen that, all three pillars. I talked about the governance and the regulatory issues continuing to evolve, and we continue to work to evolve our solutions to simplify and automate, making sure you're within compliance, both from a corporate standpoint or a regulatory body standpoint. For democratization of data, we continue to drive a simple way to get data in the hands of consumers. You saw how that is a very focused use case or focused experience for the business user to go search, find, procure, and get permission to access data. And the last one is observability. Again, observability is not the end-all be-all of how you do data governance. It's the way you accelerate. It's the way you find issues quickly and act on them. And we are a big believer in making sure that you can go do that. With that, I want to just thank you so much for your time. It's been an honor to be up here and speak with you today. I'm going to hand it over. So with that, thank you and have a great week.
I think the reason for that is really that the need to have good information to make decisions is even more important in challenging economic times. So even though there are certainly, macroeconomic issues, supply chain transparency concerns, we're still coming out of the heels of the pandemic, we still need good data.
Hello, everybody. My name's Anthony Pereira. I'm the Chief Data Analytics Officer for La Trobe, and I'll talk to you a little bit about our journey around democratizing our data and empowering our users to drive a smarter university. Our vision and our drive is to make an impact on the community that we service, and that's our students, our teachers, and our research, and our partners that we partner, and also our regions. So our vision is always make an impact on what we do, and data has been a critical element to make that impact. So we are a young university and we haven't been around for that long, but yet we make a fairly significant impact, being ranked within the top 300 universities globally. Why did we start off on our data journey and our data challenges? We lacked a single source of truth. We lacked enterprise level data, enterprise scale data governance and data quality tools. We hadn't invested in visualization tools. And we were unable to really leverage our data assets as well. So we started on this just so that we can really leverage our data assets, drive AI, and get data to be behind every decision that we make. Our data journey. So pre-2020, we set up a SAP ERP, and off the back of that ERP implementation, we set up SAP Business Objects and Business Warehouse. And those tools stayed in existence because they serviced the needs of our organisation till about 2018. And there was a broad acknowledgement by the executive team that we needed to do something with our data assets. So I started in 2018 and implemented Power BI. We started with developing one dashboard, which was around our KPIs, and that dashboard estate has now blown up to over 400. Off the back of that implementation and showing that are possible, we set up a enterprise data analytics platform on the business case. We built a business case and we set up our enterprise data analytics platform in 2021 on our Microsoft Azure stack. In 2022, off the back of a university transformation program, we created a center of excellence around data analytics, which I lead. And then in 2023, which has been the greatest transformation in our data journey, we've stood up a data Informatica and MDM, Informatica Customer 360 and data governance. And we also stood up Reference 360 as well. And I'll also talk to you a little bit about ThoughtSpot, which is a new generative AI tool that we're implementing at the end of this month. So just to put a little bit more context and give a little bit more detail around our estate and how we're planning on using all of these technologies. So we have our storage layer, which is in Microsoft, and that was stood up in 2021, as you all saw. And we started ingestion in 2022, and we're starting to develop a highly curated star schema type environment, which is that highly curated gold layer, and we started doing that this year. Now, Informatica is pretty critical for all of this, because what we want to do is make sure that everything that we run in terms of everything from our data classifications and our security that's attached to our data classifications, our business terms, all end up in that highly curated layer, which drives our democratization layer. So every user, no matter what they are, can have access to that highly curated layer and has the right access controls and everything else, so that we can pass that through to ThoughtSpot, Power BI, or whether they're directly querying our highly curated goal layer. Talked about our team motto a little bit. We want to make sure that every decision that the university makes has data behind it. There's no need for, with the amount of data and amount of information that's out there, there's very little need, or there's less of a need to make mistakes, because we can model different outcomes and guess which way the things are going to go. So we want to make sure that data is there behind every decision that the university makes. Just going a little bit more into our landscape, we've got our democratization layer, which is our ThoughtSpot, Power BI, Informatica environment, which really is around how do we push our data assets out to the business. We've got our curated physical layers, which are your machine learning, which is your Informatica, your Microsoft Synapse and Irwin for our modeling. We've got our governance layer, which is purely Informatica. And then we've got our storage layers, which sits within that Microsoft estate. You'll see on the right-hand side our legacy. So we've got a lot of SAP technology still there, and we want to migrate a lot of that to our Microsoft storage layer within the near future. So our steps in terms of how we went about democratizing it, we did a lot of pre-work around executive engagement and showing the art of possible, and Power BI was that tool to show the art of possible. We developed a lot of dashboards in that, which allowed our executives to be able to drill through and deep dive on their data and understand where their pain points are. With a lot around planning and strategy and making sure that we built up the business case to enable that planning and strategy that we had, which was really around making sure that data is behind every decision and making sure that we are leveraging our data assets. One of the other things I'll also say is make sure that you understand your users. Users are nuanced in every organization, and you need to make sure that you cater for them as well. Claire has been also instrumental for us in terms of our democratization layer, being able to show the power of Claire and how that works through in terms of the auto classifications and all the other powers that Claire has been really powerful for us, and just being able to show that value to the university custodians has been wonderful. I'll talk a little bit. So this is a little bit about our user base and user personas. Now, every organization has different users and different personas, but the one that's nuanced to our environment is really that academic, and they are functional managers and they're executives within our organization. Now, what that means to us is we've got highly detailed, highly educated, highly process-driven people who want to understand and understand their data to the nth degree. So we really need to be able to give them exploratory data. They need to be able to trust their data. They need to have a single source of data. What we had before that Center of Excellence was launched and Power BI was launched was people were creating their own data and bringing that to the table. And what we had was people arguing the numbers rather than arguing or trying to decide on what the outcomes were. So that was the biggest nuance for us, and that's not uncommon. Everyone's got nuances, but and that's probably, that scenario is probably not uncommon to everyone, but that's something that we really needed to manage within our university. Right, so our democratization layer. So I've got the three. So we've got the three big democratization tools that we have. For those who don't know, ThoughtSpot is a natural language tool which has a generative AI component to it. Fantastic tools. The thing about ThoughtSpot is we wouldn't have been able to do it without Informatica, and we've pegged it back to Informatica in terms of, you know, what is the classification of data, because we want to roll ThoughtSpot out to every person in the organization. So the data classification, which drives the data security, and in terms of what attributes people can see, has been really powerful in how we use Informatica to make sure that where the classification flows through to our EDAP layer, which is the curated layer, which drives the user access within ThoughtSpot as well. And then we've got Power BI as well. So that's our new KPI dashboards, our university performance dashboard. And then we've got our data cataloging, which is our Informatica tool as well. Now, I promised I'll talk to you about our AI ML use case. Very busy slide, but I'll cut to the cracks of it. So we've built a failure model in Azure ML, which looks at our weighted average marks and looks at the likelihood for our students to either fail or not fail. The model yields a fair bit of benefit, which I'll talk to in the next slide. But what this model has been able to do is, by utilizing our machine learning and our data assets, we can build campaigns around how we can triage and work through students who might have academic failure. Now, there's a number of features in it, and again, read the slide, but there's a fair bit of detail in this. But I think the key stat I want to try and really go to is that this model, it yields almost $4 million worth of retained revenue for us out of being able to proactively identify, build campaigns and work with the students to be able to improve their academic outcomes. But the other thing that this program really does, the model's been able to do, is actually lift up our weighted average marks for students as well. So we find that students who we've identified and been able to reach through this program actually get higher results or better results than students who we can't get to as well. So this is, again, talk about driving impact and driving scale. These are what you need to think about when you build your business case, because this is how I've built my business case up to be able to drive the capital investment in it. It's utilizing our data assets to be actually to drive revenue outcomes, and that's how I've driven that investment for the university as well. Thank you. So you've got my contact details. If there's any questions or any comments that you want, details below, email, phone number. I'll pass it back to Nathan.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. It's exciting to see where you're taking La Trobe on the cutting edge of becoming a greater data-driven organization and better able to serve the data consumers across your university with an amazing, successful modern data governance program. So next, I sat down with Jay Hawkinson to catch up on his data governance and analytics program over at Valmont Industries, and I'm happy to share the interview with you now. I'd like to welcome Jay. Hey there, welcome Jay. Hey, thank you for taking the time to join us here today. Let's start by learning a little bit about yourself, your role, and Valmont Industries.
Sure. So I'm Jay Hawkinson, Director of Data and Analytics and Insights at Valmont. I've been in data analytics for about 25 years at many industrial manufacturing type of organizations. I came to Valmont mainly because they had an interesting challenge that we need to solve. They are a almost $4 billion corporation, mainly in the space of fabrication, doing a lot of bending steel for both the agriculture marketplace as well as infrastructure place, serving a whole lot of system, a whole bunch of series of different customer bases. And they just had a major problem with how to use their data to their advantage.
Absolutely. Yeah, like a lot of organizations say, huh? So, well, thanks for sharing that background. So let me ask you this. So when you joined Valmont, what was the perception of data governance? And how would you describe the data strategy as it impacted your data analytics program?
Well, when I started, there was no data strategy. It was strictly, we had a data warehouse where people within the individual operating units would ask for things to do a report. That was it. Data governance, dirty word. Everyone knew the problems with it, but no one wanted to fix it because their thought was, well, we just have so many systems that they couldn't, that they needed to solve it and have better data access. And one of the first things I did with the first year was demonstrate very strongly to everybody that it wasn't really a data access problem, but it was a problem of knowing what data you needed and how to get it prepped so you could actually do something with it.
Right. Yeah, it's sounds like a very familiar challenge. So I know when we talked before, you've mentioned the challenge of slow time to insights, and that perhaps you've got few people across your organization spending like 85% of their time just finding data, and that would slow down just about any business, right? From achieving the kinds of business outcomes that you're trying to achieve, especially when needing to support your data consumers with that foundation of trust. Speed to analytics insights is key. Maybe just digging a little bit deeper. Beginning in 2021, what were those key elements that you needed to focus on, and that informed you on how you were going to develop that plan for improvement?
Well, a lot of it was starting from the very beginning. If you don't know where your data is, if your data is not organized, how are you going to use it effectively? So that was one of the starting points that I had. But before I could even go there and get tools to be able to do that, I had to start moving us off of an on-prem environment and move us into the cloud, mainly because all the data platforms mainly are driving into the cloud, and we needed to be there anyway. Yeah. The next piece was getting things so that we could collaborate better together, both between the IT side and the business side. There is a large stretch of people in the business who just thought that we would magically know what data they needed across any one of our 39 ERP implementations. And we had an additional problem where the knowledge of the business process, much less the data, is all tribal knowledge. And if you got outside of the United States and you went down to some of our international operations, they didn't know what was going on. No one could tell us. We would have problems with communication and everything else. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that piece drove that slow time to insights. So at first, before I could really solve the problem, I had to do some process changes. That saved us some time right there, and mainly because the request process would be like, we need a report to do this. And then my team would very nicely go off and try to do it as best they can. And that meant there was a lot of rework, a lot of lost time, and many projects didn't come together. Right. Once we got past that point, however, we got to the point that we needed more advanced tools, things like data cataloging, so that we could put all this stuff, everything that we need for Valmont's data landscape, and put it in one spot. So we would be able to have it so someone could go here, know the data, know what reports we have, be able to ask for new things, do all that in one place, in one collaborative platform that we and IT could work together.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. How you're able to also, start changing that organizational mindset and lay that technical foundation, that you needed for the future. So, where is the organizational and technical foundation today? How are you empowering your data consumers with the data insights they need now that you're moving forward?
Well, most of it has been how we work with the business from the get-go. This change has been mainly this year. Once we got things moved into the cloud, we started on a new process of when people wanted to work with us, we would first of all say, no, stop. We don't want to do this just for your report here. Let's talk about the bigger picture. Let's talk about insights. Let's talk about metrics. Let's talk about KPIs. Who are the people responsible? And I have a whole team which is dedicated just to what I call business enablement. There are forerunners to go in there with the business to understand what we're trying to get to. We had purchased Informatica data governance and catalog. We started putting that in place so that we would have our data catalog and be able to do some data quality work. We're now using that for every project that we have. As soon as somebody says, hey, we need to get this together, we got this nice template that we're using to say, okay, let's talk about the business terms. Let's talk about your key metrics and pieces. That has been driven a lot of stuff that we needed to have happen. A lot of conversations which were never happening before because people in the business thought that everyone had the same definition. So I'll use an example. This happens in every industrial manufacturer I've ever been involved in. On-time delivery. Okay, on-time delivery is one of the biggest metrics that is the easiest to understand, but never is the same. We have about 16 different definitions throughout our corporation. In fact, some plants have multiple definitions within it. And I've seen it be crazy. That has created those conversations to make it easier to get things done. So right now, even as we do it now, between that work and the work that we did in the data cloud, where we can now drop tables into our collect zone very, very quickly, and people can get access at the raw data much faster than before. We've been able to improve our stealth by about 5% so far. Once the data catalog is fully engaged, we're expecting this is going to increase substantially. My goal is at the end of the day, we don't spend more than 5 to 10% working on trying to find the data because it should be all cataloged. And prepping data will also be easier because we'll understand the rules and the business processes behind it.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. And so I understand also you have a plan, well into 2025. So maybe just with our audience, you could share a little bit about what's next. In particular, how are perceptions changing across the organization, and what kind of results are you seeing, and do you anticipate seeing and achieving as you go forward?
So everybody is really changing their mindset. Before, we just had a new project that just came across our desk, which is the building of an executive dashboard. This was not something that they even thought about doing before because the businesses were so different from one another. How could you take a look at these things together? So we're working with the FP&A team to get that all established. As we look at it strategically, these are the pieces that I need in place for everyone to really see the value. A lot of the work that I have over the next 2 years is going by business domain and business domain, especially focusing on those areas of most value. For us, a lot of it is on the inventory side, the supply chain side, as well as our operational side to give that people pieces of it. And really focus on that, on building it into it so that we have everything we need on the data catalog. We also are building out at the same time a ERP consolidation. And we're going to use the tools we have from Informatica to really be able to give a good basic to work beforehand. So instead of waiting for new people to come on board, then our next project on the SAP piece, we're going to be doing all the data quality, the data profiling work, the data ingestion as much as we can of their existing system so we can be best prepared for that go forward. My goal is in the next 2 years, we're going to be a way different data organization than we are now. The last piece I forgot about in here, though, I should say, is our data literacy program. One of the major pieces, it's great to have the data, it's great to have the tools, it's great to have the processes, but I need to bring up the basic knowledge set of what people can do with it now. I can affect the skill. I have to also work with the executive to affect the will, because I still have a lot of people that take a look at some of the stuff that we want them to do and say, hey, no, that's an IT's job. I don't need to have to worry about putting this data together. But that mindset will have to change over the next couple of years.
Wow. Well, that's going to be exciting to watch. Thanks, Jay. We do appreciate you sharing your story with us today. And the team at Informatica is looking forward to seeing how you're going to further empower your data consumers. With trusted data, they can spend more time achieving insights that drive your business, less time searching for answers like you're driving now. All the best as we partner in the future. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
In my opinion, this is probably the most important thing we can do as data leaders if we want to ensure our programs have success. Years ago, I was part of some research that showed there were very few things held in common across successful data programs, but there were two characteristics that stood out: engagement from the top executive layer and data products driven by business versus IT.
Next, let's welcome Rick Tam Daniels, Informatica's Global Vice President of Ecosystem Alliances and Technology, and Nate Harris, General Manager and Global Leader of Data and AI at Microsoft, as they discuss the importance of modern data governance on Azure and give us an introduction to Microsoft Fabric.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rick Tam Daniels, Group Vice President for Ecosystems and Technology with Informatica. And I have the pleasure of being joined today by Nate Harris, General Manager, Data and AI at Microsoft. Nate, thanks for joining me.
It's great to be speaking with you here today. And certainly we'll talk about some of the latest innovations that Microsoft and Informatica are driving together. Thanks for having me, Rick. Look forward to the conversation.
Great. So Nate, as you know, at Microsoft Build, we recently announced Informatica as the ISV design partner for a really exciting new offering from Microsoft, Microsoft Fabric. Could you talk a little bit about what Microsoft Fabric is and what it means for customers?
Sure. So first of all, there's incredible interest in Fabric. And so thank you for the opportunity really to talk about it. And the interest has been overwhelming. And here's what's been overwhelming if you look at, well, what's resonating with customers? So if you just think about the burden upon our industry across data and AI, and it's really been for years, you have scenarios where you have best of breed players in particular areas. And if you think about data warehousing and structured data or unstructured data, presentation layers, ingestion, reasoning, how do you think about all of that? And so one of the things that Fabric brings certainly to customers is one end-to-end platform, and that one end-to-end platform fully governed. But what it really allows is innovation across all of the key pillars of ingestion, storage, reasoning, presentation. But not only does it allow innovation, it also allows a consistent UI, a consistent experience. It just works. And so that's one of the things that we've seen just strongest in customer interest is its intuitive nature of items are designed to work together, and it just works together.
Yeah, and Nate, as the design partner, the ISV design partner for Fabric, one of our big objectives is to really bring that seamless, unified experience between our Intelligent Data Management Cloud, or IDMC, and Microsoft Fabric. And one of the core services of IDMC that we just recently released natively on Azure is our Cloud Data Governance and Catalog, as well as our Cloud Data Marketplace service. And we see these as kind of playing a pivotal role when it comes to really scaling data and analytics and organization. And so from your perspective, what are some of the key data governance, data marketplace capabilities that IDMC is bringing to Microsoft Fabric?
Well, it's great that you say that. And one of the things we would say that is resonating also with Fabric is one governed set of data across an enterprise. And we'll talk about things such as OneLake and such. But we know that data governance is a key component, and it's a key component that really accelerates analytics and AI for data-driven decision-making. A catalog is critical, but we are also seeing strong customer needs for things like data quality, data profiling, data access controls, data policy enforcement, and data democratization. In fact, you'll hear this a lot as you're talking to customers about, I really want to put the power of data to work at the hands of all the industry analysts or such like that. Now, moreover, many customers look to be able to apply governance policies and such consistently across the entire enterprise and data landscape. And so ensuring that that trusted data and those data assets are widely and securely available goes back to that data democratization item. And so IDMC is a fantastic platform for bringing all of these capabilities to our Azure customers. It creates a level of trust relative to these data sources that helps our customers really achieve better outcomes, certainly faster in terms of data-driven projects and such like that. And so we could not be more happy about the partnership and the integration.
Excellent. Yeah, and thinking about data-driven projects, right? One of the other big themes we do see is this desire to really shorten the distance and the complexity of connecting data producers with data consumers, right? Yeah. And so how do you think about data governance and data democratization capabilities like our data marketplace playing a role together with Fabric in addressing that need from customers?
It's a great question. I think, providing data to customers or providing data consumers with critical data and business context, from data quality to data governance, and then making data assets easily accessible to businesses, users of those businesses. It's really the linchpin or kind of key capability to scaling the use of trusted data and assets. And those particular items are really the key to driving business transformation. I think Fabric was really built to accelerate this time to value. So that integrated platform that I was talking about earlier, and it really drives this acceleration from the data assets by addressing the needs of just a whole multitude of stakeholders across a particular solution. And so when you think about Informatica's IDMC platform, it's a key part of that single solution. We built it to natively integrate together. And so that's why we're excited about the partnership and the integration. And so we've recently announced Informatica and Azure have integrations such as seamless integration of IDMC with Fabric. You also have IDMC as an Azure native ISV service. And so these are exciting times as we really look to leverage how do we work better together to help our customers really across data and AI. And I'm excited about the unique, I would call it differentiated, but also integrated data and analytics experience Microsoft and Informatica are bringing to customers.
Yeah, exciting times indeed, right? I think we are very bullish on what we see together and the opportunity we have together with Microsoft. So Nate, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for taking the time to join us and sharing your invaluable perspectives as always.
Rick, appreciate it. Great to see you. Great to be here together. We'll talk soon.
Companies today have access to more data than ever. And so I think what we'll see is, instead of sharp turns maybe that we've seen in the past, we'll see more measured responses as companies digest the data that they have, analyze it, and then look at what they should be doing both on the revenue and on the cost side of things.
Hi everyone, I'm Ian Stahl. My team's invited me on today to give you a taste of Informatica's data governance and democratization solution in action, and to show you how we can leverage these capabilities to accelerate time to value through AI automation. Let's get started. I'd like to start by showing you how easy Informatica Data Management Cloud makes it to democratize data for any consumer throughout the organization. To do that, I'll start here with Cloud Data Marketplace. Data Marketplace enables anyone in the organization to find data relevant to their needs, regardless of their technical skill. I can browse data categories or search for something more specific. My search returns a lot of data products that look similar, but which one's the best fit? Maybe it's this global purchasing data here. This looks fine and the quality's good, but I don't think it's what I'm looking for. The usage policy is too constraining. Let me compare this to some others that I have in the list. Get a better view. With these three selected, I can get a side-by-side view of each of these data products right here in the comparison screen, allowing me to make an informed selection about which one's best. This one on the right looks pretty good. It has the data sets I need. It's deliverable where I need it. Oh, 5-star rating. Let's check it out. Marketplace gives data consumers all the information they need to make an informed decision about whether to use this data. Who owns it? What's it for? The quality looks good. What's in it? The inventory of data assets and elements ensures I can plug this into my analytics or machine learning model. In addition, the usage terms are open, so I know I can use this within governance guidelines. I'll go ahead and hit the checkout. Just fill out the request form where I want to get it, Power BI. Acknowledge the terms and conditions of use, hit submit. That's it. Behind the scenes, IDMC workflows orchestrate all the activity to ensure that this data gets to me where and when I need it. And I can track all that activity right here. Oh, it's already done. It looks like Claire provisioned this data to my Power BI workspace automatically, so I'm good to go. Now, look, a lot just happened there. So I want to give you a quick sense of how Claire knew to make this data available to me so quickly in an automated way. To do that, I'll go ahead and go back to comparison. Let's have a closer look at this data product I picked. So you can see it includes this fact table on sales orders, which we picked up from Cloud Data Governance and Catalog. Cloud Data Governance and Catalog automatically inventories all of the organization's data, structured, unstructured, flat files, you name it, to give me a complete picture of the data available in the enterprise, including that fact table we looked at earlier. I can see where this data came from. Claire dynamically generates a lineage of this data so I can easily see where it came from and how it's consumed, noting the key data elements along the way. So I have relevant context for how that key data flows from source to target. And I get visibility into the overall quality of that data as it flows. See how this data measures up for all consumers downstream. With detailed drill down into data quality anywhere along the way that I need to see it. And I can also see the related policies that inform how I can or should use this data. As you can see, I can click on the policy relationships in my related data. You can see that the policies indicate that this data is ready to be consumed and used. And what I can do for individual data assets, Catalog and Governance can do broadly for the entire data governance program across all the data in the estate. Catalog and Governance dashboards allow me to track all my governance and analytics program activity with custom boards to focus on anything that I need to see at a glance. For example, the overall data quality. So you saw how we measured the data quality as data flowed from source to target in the lineage. But now I can get a top-down view of all of the inventory data quality. So I can track how all data is being used and if its quality is measuring up to the standards that we've set for it. In addition to that, I can track how my data governance program is functioning overall by monitoring the activity flow of all the users who are interacting with my catalog, those that are looking to certify assets, stand up those policies, run those data quality profiles, ensure I have consistent definitions across my enterprise. This adoption dashboard gives me an at-a-glance view as to how my consumption of my governed data is growing over time, a key indicator of the overall health of my data governance program and how it's scaling to meet enterprise needs. I hope that gives you a sense of how Cloud Data Governance and Catalog, Cloud Data Marketplace, and the other services we have in the Intelligent Data Management Cloud can help you accelerate your time to value, leveraging Claire AI automation capabilities. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Ian, and thank all of you for joining us today. Now, if you'd like to continue the conversation, feel free to reach out to us directly, and you can also join our LinkedIn group by snapping the QR code here to take you to the Informatica Data and Analytics discussion group to network with more of your peers, and we hope to see you there. And lastly, before we go, we'd love to help you on your mission to achieve a modern data governance program. Download our CDO Insights 2023 survey by clicking this QR code to discover what's driving today's data leaders to transform their businesses, achieving greater results through AI-driven automation on the industry's leading data management cloud. Thank you for joining us and have a great rest of your day.